Ayo, MOM Radio and the Pipe Bomb Radio Network present Not Your Mama's Radio Show with your hosts, former WWE superstars and two men that are always on a mission, Oscar and Sir Mo.
Well, men on the mission. Are you ready? Well, here we go. Men on the mission. Bang, bang, boom. Here we go. Do it like this. You got to all know. Oscar, Mabel, and Mo. Chosen in the house. We're ready. So, men on a mission over here. Do it like this. I'm a mission. You better have fear. Do it like this. We got your ignition. Who's in the house? It's men on a mission. Well, men on a mission. Yeah, men on a mission.
Welcome, everybody, to Not Your Mama's Radio Show. Here are your hosts for tonight, Oscar and Sir Mo.
What up, man?
How's everybody doing?
All right, Felix, how you doing?
All right, all right.
Oh, how's your week been, my friend?
It's been all right. Is Sir Mo, are you on there?
Yeah.
Huh. I guess not. Okay.
He might be
having
the same problem. He might be having the
same problem. It's a good possibility, but I mean, no. I thought I had him on there, but I couldn't hear him. But if he's calling in, I'm sure he'll let me know or let you know.
All right.
That being said, we are here live tonight. We got a double feature here tonight. Going to be fun.
Yeah. We got the mystery of Cueball Carmichael. We're gonna hear all about Cueball Carmichael and his big history. Sir Mo swears by the guy, so we should have a lot of fun with him. And let me set up our headline guest for tonight. This is a great story.
Yes.
When I was about 8 or 9 years old, my stepfather would call me and my brother and I. He would call us into the living room to watch television when he knew something was on exciting that we wanted to see. That's how we got to see, like, old Abbott and Costello movies. And,
oh, nice.
And, just a whole bunch of neat stuff. He would always, and it was never a miss. It was always a hit. He'd have us come in and sit on the couch, and we'd watch a movie or something interested on TV. Well, this one late night at midnight, because we didn't have to go to school on Sunday, that was the Friday and Saturday were the nights we got up to pretty much stay up as late as we want. So around midnight, he calls us in to the living room and to watch something on TV. And what he had us watch was wrestling. The first time that I ever saw wrestling on TV and knew it came on TV, it came on WORTV Channel 9. In New York, midnight Saturdays, WWF Wrestling. A young Vince McMahon, take the phone off speaker, Mo, please. A young Vince McMahon. Yeah, but take
it off. We can hear you, man. We can hear you.
Okay, what about now?
Yeah, Bob,
much better.
Okay.
A young Vince McMahon and Antonina Rocca on commentary. Now, this is when Vince was young. I mean, he had a head full of his own hair, spry young man, and he had a $1 million voice for television. And him and old wrestler Antonina Rocca, who was long retired from wrestling, they were the commentators. And we were astounded. We would see the likes of superstar Billy Graham, managers like Lou Albano, Grand Wizard of Wrestling, when Bob Backlund was young, when he just got the title, Ivan Putski, Bruno Sammartino. Yeah, Bruno Sammartino was the champ, who he had been the champ on the other side of forever. With Mr. Fuji, Teru Tanaka. I mean, all these people, these were the golden age, the 70s. This is when people actually, thought that wrestling was real. You couldn't tell a wrestling fan that wrestling wasn't working. They want to fight you in the street. And one of these individuals that was on wrestling at that time that I was a big fan of was the Russian Bear, Ivan Koloff. Now, this is when, this is when wrestling was golden. So that is why I am stoked tonight and so excited to just honored to know that tonight we're going to talk to and interview Ivan, the Russian Bear Koloff. I can't wait. It's going to be a great interview. It's going to be a great time. And, Sir Mo, Ivan Koloff trained you in Nelson for a while, didn't he? Mo?
Mo, are you there?
Okay.
Mo? Hello?
He'll be back.
Okay, we got him. I think we got him.
Okay.
Mo.
I don't know what's going on. What's happening, man?
All right, how you doing?
I'm good.
Good. I'm glad everything is working out okay. I was just now setting up for the fact that Ivan Koloff is going to be on the show tonight. Didn't he train you?
Well, actually, what the way it worked, it was Nelson and I was training in Monroe, North Carolina with Gene Anderson. And on Gene's off nights, Ivan Koloff had a school like 10 miles up the road, him and Bobby Fulton. And so we would go up there and work out with Ivan and his students.
Okay.
He taught us a lot about, Nelson and I have always worked as heels, so he taught us a lot about not being in a rush to take over on the baby faces. So he taught us a lot about psychology and stuff like that.
Well, if there's somebody that has got to know about, heel psychology and everything like that, it's gotta be Ivan Koloff. I mean, there's the questions that I want to ask. I want to know, like, what is the fundamental difference between working for Vince Sr. and then, working for Vince Jr., the differences, how they ran things. What was the payoffs like in them days? I mean, it's just an encyclopedia full of knowledge that we're going to get, tonight. The contrast between wrestling then, and wrestling now. And, I can't wait. And a big story, just to give you guys a preview, about 20 years ago, Rene Goulet, when he was an agent. You remember Rene Goulet, right, Mo?
Yeah. He had no business touching the kids.
He had no business touching the kids. He was talking about Michael Jackson. Rene Goulet was like, he's got no business sleeping with the kids. And with his accent, he just sounded so, because the story broke when Michael Jackson was going through the trial for the first kid, the first child molestation. And we was talking to Rene Goulet. Rene Goulet was like, he had no business sleeping with the kids. But anyway, Rene Goulet told me the story because he used to tour with Ivan Koloff. Because Rene Goulet was another one of them that was on wrestling when I used to watch it as a kid. He told me about a fight that Ivan Koloff had in mid-flight on a plane. So I'm definitely going to ask Ivan Koloff because I want to know who it was, how it started, the aftermath from it. I mean, it's just a lot. There's just a lot to go through with this guy tonight. So it's going to be a real exciting interview, an exciting time.
Cool.
And so,
where's Mimi at, Oscar?
Mimi is going to be joining us in about 10 minutes.
Okay.
She's sitting down right now. She's eating an Italian beef sandwich, and as soon as she's done with that good old Chicago Italian beef, she's going to get on the phone and give us the woman perspective of everything that's going on. The Grady, we can misbehave for about another 8 minutes, and then we gotta calm down.
Okay.
Well, but you got on the radio talking to me though, so yeah. Cueball's
gonna be calling in at
8:15, so
not a problem.
I'll
be keeping a lookout for him. I actually wanted to mention a story. I actually wanted to mention something to you guys that I saw on the WW Network, and I was watching a Raw flashback show, and it just so happens it was Men on a Mission and Lex Luger against the corporation, Ted DiBiase's corporation. And down below I saw Oscar. He had a blonde mohawk.
Yep.
You saw.
Care to comment about that?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. See, this is how this works. I had my natural hair color with a funky haircut, all throughout 1993. I had the 3 parts on both sides. the funky hip-hop haircut. Mo and Mabel were always, ever since the beginning, because they had, Mo had the blonde two-tone, Mabel had the full blonde. They would always ask me, tease me, and ask me, be like, you need to go ahead and get your hair blonde, man. Go ahead and blonde that hair up so you can really look like the crew. I wouldn't do it. Because I didn't want to look like them. Because in the beginning, Felix, frankly, I didn't like those two guys. I couldn't stand to look at neither one of them. So I didn't want to look like the crew. But
gotcha.
1994, I happened to fall in love with those two guys and adopted them as brothers. And I said, I may look pretty sexy with this blonde. So on a whim, I had all my hair cut off. I had my patch of hair in my head and dyed it. And let me tell you something. Because of the grade of my hair, the blonde coloring took so good. I mean, it looked better than the both of theirs combined. I mean, I was just so sexy.
You wish.
Just so sexy.
I just happened to see that. I said, I got to bring this up on the show. I got to bring it up. That was good stuff.
So, he's not telling the truth. It was that ass whooping he got that made him damn change his hair color.
I'm sorry. I'm not kidding to say what ass whooping because that would be an understatement. Which ass whooping was that, Mo?
There was quite a few of them.
Yeah, but which one made me go blonde?
I don't know. I just thought I'd throw that in there.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, yeah. So I was.
I'm about to introduce you to Cueball Carmichael, Oscar.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, I can't wait.
Yeah. We got Mimi joining us now, guys.
Hey, Mo. Hey, Mo.
Hey, sweetie, how you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good. We got the full Howard Stern crew now.
There you go. I like that. That's a good comparison.
Yeah, we got the full Howard Stern crew now.
Only our numbers are going to beat Howard's by leaps and bounds. Everybody just hang in there. We're going to be the number one.
I'm not that midget, though.
We're going to be the number one show. We're going to be the number one show on the radio.
I think we could.
All right, so, Mo, you got Cueball Carmichael coming on. Tell us some things you're going to want to talk to Cueball about because that's basically going to be your interview. What do we got to look forward to?
Well, first of all, he's going to tell us about the things that he do mostly. Cueball is one of those guys. He's kind of like.
I think you go right in here.
He's kind of like. What is that column you used to read on the newspaper all the time, where you write into this lady and she gives you all this love advice and all that stuff? He's got a Dear Cueball Carmichael column. Well, he has his own wrestling group on Facebook.
Article
with thousands of members, and daily we're talking about all the young guys of the business that want to learn. He's got a full-blown school there in North Carolina. Him and Bruce Hart got this huge seminar coming up in August. I mean, he does seminars at least 3-4 times a year, where guys travel from all over the world just to participate in this seminar. He's been in the game over 30 years, trained by Lou Thez, so he's been everywhere. He's seen it all. Just because Oscar don't know him don't mean he ain't nobody. Well, the important thing is you know him, Mo. So if you know more about this wrestling business than I'm ever gonna know. So if you say Cueball Carmichael or Mr. Blotto is legit, I'm more than inclined to take your word for it. Cueball Carmichael is the Gandhi of professional wrestling. He's the Gandhi of professional wrestling? Yep. Mm-hmm. Whoa, that's wait a minute. Wait. The Gandhi of professional wrestling. Yeah. Gandhi was a philosopher. Yeah. Remember that? Yeah, of course. I didn't say he was this mega superstar or nothing like that. I never said that. I said he's the Gandhi of professional wrestling, which means he has a lot of knowledge about this business, more so than some of the people that's been at the top.
Well, this certainly is going to be one hell of an interview because, I mean, if his credentials go that far, then, yeah, even I'm looking forward to just listening and learning. This should be an education.
Well, when you talk to him, you get a chance to ask a question, Oscar, right?
Well, basically,
just ask him to explain to you what a hooker is.
What a hooker
I
is.
thought it was that.
Yeah,
I thought it was that tramp walking down Main Boulevard.
No, that ain't the kind of hook I'm talking about, son. Just ask him what a hooker is.
All those girls that used to come visit you up in your room late at night. That's what I thought.
Now, are you sure you want to go there with Mimi on the phone?
No, not really.
Oh, Lord. No, okay.
Not really.
All right. It was going to seriously turn into a Howard Stern moment now. We was going to get down to the Detroit City nitty-gritty.
No, we don't want to go to Detroit. We're going to leave Detroit right there in Michigan where it is.
Yes, sir.
I done already got hit up for child support once this week. I don't need no more debits on my check, so let's just shut up.
Yep. Hey, you never know. I mean, you was the man.
No, see, that's the thing. I was not the man, and we're going to take a conversational detour right now. No, there was no man. I was not a man. I'm still not a man. There's no man.
Okay, guys, I'm letting you know now we do have Cueball Carmichael on the air.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the Gandhi of professional wrestling, and we are honored to have this cat on our show. Ladies and gentlemen, Cueball Carmichael. Cueball, how you doing?
Hey, good, Bo, Oscar, Mimi, how are you?
Good.
Good.
Glad to have you here.
Great to be here, brothers, sisters.
Good. How's the missus doing?
She's doing really good. She came home this afternoon. Everything's good. She's on the mend, man.
Good. Before we get into asking a lot of personal, professional questions, why don't you throw a plug for that Bruce Hart seminar that's coming up, Cueball?
Sure. We've got August 15th, 16th, and 17th here in eastern North Carolina near Wilmington. We've got Bruce Hart coming down to spend 3 days with me. I do these camps about twice a year. I had one in January. It was just myself, Damian Wayne, and Pat Cusick who did it, and we filled that one up, and we're going to bring in about 25 people to get to work with Bruce for 3 days. And, Bruce is the mastermind behind the success of Stampede in the 70s and 80s. He's also the Hart family trainer. He trained Brett and Owen and Davey and Pillman and, a lot of those guys, and just ran a great promotion back in the 70s and 80s. And he's in the process of finally biting the bullet and reforming Stampede Wrestling. So, he's trying to get a few people on the same page together. We may have Jeff Jarrett either come to the seminar or Bruce is going to provide him a DVD of some of the kids as soon as we get done with it. So, we're trying to get some of these guys a break if they deserve it and give them a chance to work with Bruce. We've got a couple promoters coming in to absorb what Bruce has to say about running the promotion because, as you know, Mo, it's it's like I say, everybody's a perfect parent until they have kids. Everybody's a perfect promoter until they start running shows. So
right.
It's gonna be good.
Then they develop a lot of enemies.
Now, because it's so comprehensive, what is the cost for the seminar, and what do guys have to pay to be involved?
It's $300 for the 3 days. That's Friday from 4 until 11, 4 in the afternoon until 11 at night. It's 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. on Saturday, and it's all day Sunday. There's going to be a certificate of completion Bruce is going to provide with people. He's also looking for some people to maybe bring up to his Stampede promotion and do a little talent exchange up there. So, I think for me, for 3 days, I was at one not too long ago at the Monster Factory. It was $150 for a day. So I think $300 for 3 full days with Bruce. We got a great deal on hotels less than a mile from where I have my ring at, and it's $49 a night. And usually the guys split a room, so it ends up about $25 a night. So, I think it's pretty fair for what we offer.
Oh, okay. That's great. And where's that going to be?
That's in it's in Burgaw, North Carolina, which is about 20 miles west of Wilmington.
Oh, okay, great.
Well, all right, good. Well, we did the shameless plug for the Bruce Hart seminar, and we're gonna do it again before we get over here. But Cueball, one of the main reasons I have you on is because number one, I got the utmost respect for you, and I tell you this all the time that I call you either the guru or the gun to professional wrestlers.
I appreciate that.
Number two, a couple weeks ago, I happened to mention the guru or the Gandhi of professional wrestling, and I called out your name, Cueball Carmichael. And my co-host, Oscar, was like, Cueball Carmichael? Who the fuck is Cueball Carmichael? And so it turned into like a 30-minute me lashing him like, you asshole, you never get on a radio program openly out loud and ask, who the fuck is Cueball Carmichael? I said, how do you host a wrestling show and not know who Cueball Carmichael is? So I said, well, I'm just gonna have to invite Cueball Carmichael here and introduce you to him. So Oscar, this is Cueball Carmichael.
Cueball, listen, in my defense, there are millions of so-called wrestling fans out there that don't know who the hell Oscar is. I do not claim to be a genius, and I do not know, and I've been in the business for a long time, but I don't know all the names associated with the business, the history of everything. They're still legends, and you say their name to me, and I'm still going, huh? So I'm not ashamed, and that doesn't take away, just because I may not know, it doesn't take away from nothing you've done, nothing you will do. I'm glad we're meeting now, and hopefully we can get together and actually work together on some things. And I'm not ashamed to say it and admit it, but no, I don't know who the Sam Hill you are. So for those who may be ignorant to who Cueball Carmichael is, explain to us who you are, your history, how you got in the business, what you've done and what you're doing now and what you will do. How about that, Mo?
That sounds good. And listen, you know what? I take absolutely no offense to a lot of people don't know who I am. A lot of people inside the business do. You know, I've been working on a reality show with Johnny Stewart, used to be illustrious Johnny Stewart in the AWA years ago, and we got it bought by a guy who's got 3 Emmys in Hollywood, and we signed a big name host. I wish I could tell the name, but I can't right now in the wrestling business. And we're doing tomorrow. We have a conference call to set up to shoot our sizzle reel in Pittsburgh, and this guy's going to get it off to the networks, and he's pretty confident he'll get it bought. And you know, listen. Here's what he said to me. He said, when we talked about the show, John said, "Why doesn't Cueball host the show?" And the guy goes, "Listen, no offense." He goes, "But I don't think Cueball Carmichael is exactly a household name in America." And I said, "Listen, in the business, most people know who I am. Some people do, some people don't. But you know, it's completely fine. I'll give you a little history of me. I was born in Canada. I was raised in upstate New York. In 1982, as a young man, I sold everything I owned. I left every person I ever knew, every family member I ever had. I packed a bag. I hopped on an airplane knowing nobody. I flew 5,000 miles away to Honolulu, Hawaii, to train at Peter Maivia's school. I spent 82 and 83 over there. Peter had just passed away. Leah supervised my training. I trained with the Samoans at Palama Settlement Gym. And you know how it was back in the day back then, brother. They didn't smarten you up for about 6 or 8 weeks, and that was a rough 6 or 8 weeks. And I trained with them, and I moved back to the East Coast of Virginia in 1986, and I was doing a little bit of wrestling in Virginia and West Virginia, and I decided I needed to know a little bit more about the business, so I contacted Lou Thez, and I spent 10 months with Lou Thez and Mark Fleming down in Norfolk, Virginia, 4 days a week, 5 days a week with Lou, and really I give Lou credit for being the guy who, I don't know if you could say trained me because I had training, but he was the guy who smartened me up to the wrestling business. He was old school. He was a hooker, you know. We hear about shooters like Kurt Angle and guys like that. A hooker could break a shooter in half in about 10 seconds. That's how bad they were.
Okay, I'm supposed to ask because I don't know. Besides that tramp walking down Main Boulevard, what's a hooker?
A hooker, back in the 20s or 30s or 40s, most of your accomplished wrestlers were what they call hookers. And what a hooker does, you know, a shooter can get you in a position and pin you. A hooker gets you in a position and breaks an arm or a leg or an ankle. They were the old school enforcers. I mean, they were the guys that, you know, and back when Lou had the NWA belt the first couple times, and a lot of those guys like Joe Stetcher and Strangler Ed Lewis, those guys had to be hookers to protect themselves because there was guys that would take advantage of them. And a hooker really is just a guy who is a step above a shooter. A hooker is trained to break a joint, grab an arm, snap a leg, do anything like that. Everybody knows pretty much the history of Lou Thez, and that, you know, he was very feared and revered. And, you know, Lou in his prime was 6'2", 130 pounds. He wasn't a big guy, but, you know, hookers know leverage, and they know how to hurt somebody really quick, really bad. And, you know, that's what a hooker does. And, you know, you can protect yourself. And I think a little bit of me maybe going there is I had advantage taken of me a couple times when I was younger, wrestling some veterans, and I didn't want it to happen again. And so I spent time with Lou, and ironically it never happened after that. So I started wrestling in Virginia in the independents, and spent the late 80s and early to mid-90s in Virginia, worked with our old friend Scotty McKeever in West Virginia, and I think that's where I first met Nelson at. And, you know, we worked a lot of Virginia. I lived in Northern Virginia, worked a lot of that. But in the early 90s, I migrated a little bit north, and I started working with guys like Tom Brandy, Wise Guy Jimmy Cicero, Buddy Landell, worked a lot with him. And I started working with Bill Eadie a lot. And I worked with a lot of veterans that were really good to me and brought me along and did good things for me. In 1996, Tom Brandy got me into the WWF to do some enhancement work, and I spent 96, 97, 98. And the last time I was there was November of 99, and after, of course, they bought WCW in 2000, it was kind of over for most of us enhancement guys up there. So I spent 4 years on and off up there, and I've worked a lot with the NWA. I'm the only current wrestler in the business that has held NWA titles in 3 different decades. You know, so, I mean, I've done a lot of shows. I ran a school in Northern Virginia. I trained Joey Matthews, who became Joey Mercury, was one half of the WWF Tag Team Champions, Mercury and Nitro, those guys, and he's been with them for 11 years. He was a trainer in Florida. Now he's a road agent. I trained Christian York, who's a really good talent, and a guy, Bo Duff, that teamed up with Mike Maverick, who was jacked up and went to the WWE. And, you know, I've trained some guys that have really good, successful careers. And, you know, I'm not a flashy guy. I'm not a super charismatic guy, but I've been very fortunate that I had outside interests that worked out very well financially for me, owned businesses and stuff. And what it's allowed me to do, I ran shows from 96 to 2002. I ran 135 shows and made money in every show, and I sold out the same building for 7 years every 6 weeks in Northern Virginia, a place called the Secret Cove. And, you know, my roster back then is a who's who of guys who ended up in the WWE. The Headbangers worked for me. You know, a lot of guys that went there worked for me. And, you know, it was just I just started hanging around with a lot of guys that were a lot better than me in the mid-'90s, and it allowed me to become better myself. And at the point I'm at now, I kind of want to give back, and that's why I run these seminars and camps to try to educate people and teach them about the business. You know, the paradigm has switched in the wrestling business. Now if you talk to a young guy, he thinks the business is all about the moves. All those guys that know that the moves or the spots in a wrestling match are only a means to an end. The whole concept of a wrestling match is to get people emotionally involved, to get them invested in what you're doing, get them to take a keen interest in you, try to tell a story when you're out there. Use psychology and transitions to get the match over to people. That's how you get them emotionally invested, and that's how you keep people interested in what you do. And, you know, we try to teach that, and that's why I have Bruce coming in, that, you know, the moves are necessary, but they're not what gets people emotionally invested in a match. If that was true, Ring of Honor would sell 25,000-seat arenas, and it would have 1 million pay-per-view buys because it's some of the greatest wrestling I've ever seen. As far as choreographed, fantastic spots go, but it's not what sells in this country. What sells in this country is, you know, getting people invested in what you're doing, and that's done through transitions and psychology and not necessarily moves. So that's what we try to teach, and that's kind of the history of me in the business. I've been around 32 years, and I've been very fortunate. You know, at 54, I'm still booked. Every weekend I want to be booked. I just signed a deal with Lucha Extreme in California to do the next 6 pay-per-views and next 6 TV tapings out there. So, you know, I stay, by the grace of God, I stay fairly relevant and really busy for an old dude. So, you know, it's but I think it's because of what I bring to the table psychologically. You know, for the first 10 or 15 years in our career, we work with our body, and then as it starts to give way, we start to work with our mind. And one of 2 things happen. Either we crack and go insane, or we really pick up the business and learn how to do it with our mind more than our body. And I think that's what's happened with me over the last 10 or 15 years.
Now, you see, you just right there, you just taught the whole world a lesson. I'm on 2 weeks ago arrogantly like I'm Oscar. Who the hell is Cueball Carmichael? You're booked for the next 2 years. I can't get booked at a taco stand. So there you go.
Well, I don't know if talent has anything to do with it. I think I'm just in the right place at the right time, which I spent 28 of my 32 years being in the wrong place at the wrong time. So.
Well, I need to call you to find out where the hell the right place at the right time is. Maybe you could write a manual because some of us really, really need to know. My next question is, what do you think of the current product now? Take WWE. What do you think of it, and what are they doing right? What are they doing wrong? How can they improve?
Well, I think they've got the greatest athletes that I've ever seen in my life at this period of time. Okay. You know, I like the taller, I like the leaner look. I think it's great. But what the WWE does, and I had to take a step back and look at this. They really are not in the wrestling business anymore, and we all know that. They're in the entertainment business, and when they get a guy and they put him on top, they want a guy that can be in the entertainment business. They don't want a professional wrestler. And, you know, I think they've got a great performance center. I think the curriculum may be a little askew. But, you know, to me it's real simple. I watch the crowds that go to these wrestling shows, and if you watch, you know, it took 30 seconds to see a clip of WrestleMania, and you look at the front row seating and seats that are $1,000 a piece, and you see kids 15, 16, 17, 18 years old. But what you'll see next year and the year after is kids 15, 16, 17, and 18 years old. You know, for decades, this business was a business where fans were 8 to 80, blind, crippled, or crazy. You know, what happened was it was a general appeal product. They had a broad spectrum. There would be people from every ethnicity watching it. There would be people from every age group watching it. People followed it their whole lives. We all know when we grew up with the great crazy grandfather or grandmother of our friends or ours who watched wrestling and swore it was 100% legit, and they would die by that. But they would also introduce their children, their nieces, their nephews to professional wrestling. And you had a broad spectrum of fans. Now that's gone. What happens is, and I think it's because the product, not necessarily the guys, but the storylines, the angles, the things they put out there, I think the general appeal is for a young person up to about 18 years old. I think what happens is when people get some street smarts like we did, or like some people that go to college and get smartened up, you go back to watch that product at 20 or 21 or 22 or 23, and it almost insults your intelligence. And that fan goes away, and it's replaced again with a 16 or 17 or 18-year-old kid. It's what it is. It's a disposable fan base. If they can market a product that would have general and broad appeal, that's the fix to the wrestling business. You have to get back the generations of fans, not just a single generation of fans. And you have to do that with what you're putting out there. It has to be interesting. It has to be unpredictable. When wrestling becomes predictable, it becomes boring, and people tune out. If you know what's going to happen next, that's a bad sign in pro wrestling. It's a terrible sign. So what happens is these fans tune out, and they get replaced with another young person. We need to keep those fans that are 18, 25, 30, 35. You know, when we do independent shows, we do see fans from every age bracket there. But when it gets to that TV product, you really see WWE, the big show, you really see the smaller group of younger fans. And I think the problem is, to a certain degree, it insults the intelligence of the older fan, and they tune out.
No, okay. Mo, you got some questions for Q?
Well, I mean, I think that, you know, he's covered a great deal of it. I guess my question would be, WWE aside, looking at TNA and Ring of Honor and possibly what Jeff Jarrett is thinking about bringing to the table, what can those companies do that would elevate them a little bit more? You know, of course, they'll never surpass what Vince has done, but what can those companies do to increase and broaden their fan base?
Well, I think the first thing they have to do is it's always a mistake when any promotion, independent or one that has TV like a TNA or Ring of Honor, I think the worst thing you can do is try to copy Vince or what they're doing, because you're never going to do it at that level. You're never going to do it with that production value, and you're always going to be accused of being a cheap imitation of what they do. So you have to have your own identity. I think TNA had their own identity when they had the six-sided ring. I think it was a complete mistake to go to the four-sided ring. I think that was part of the beginning and the end because they started, in actuality, almost starting to duplicate what they did at WWE. They brought in some former WWE or WCW stars. And, as a promotion, two very important things that you have to do. You have to establish your own identity and not follow the leader. And number two is you have to create your own stars. There's no promotion in the world that will survive for the long term picking up leftover stars. And I mean no offense or disrespect to anybody who's been at the top. But you can use those guys and mix them in, but you have to create your own star, and you have to put your own star in the right position to build that person up and work them into your main event roster. That's where you're going to make money because you're typically paying them less money as they go or when they come in. You build the guy up, and all of a sudden you have unique recognition of that person because, if you bring in, somebody from WWE that's been there for 10 years, they're going to be recognized not as a TNA star, but as a WWE star who's now in TNA, just like Kurt Angle was. You have to get somebody that's unknown commodity, and certainly they could be somebody that's worked on the independents for 5 or 10 years. They don't have to be a new guy, but it's got to be somebody who hasn't had national television exposure, so that you're credited for establishing and building that star. That's the way it has to be. It's not going to work any other way, and you have to be unique in the way that you do those things. Don't copy WWE because you'll never do it as well as they do it.
Okay. I have one. So, having heard that, in your opinion, do you think that it was a big mistake for TNA to lose AJ Styles? I mean, the guy started with the company.
I think he was one of their creations. I think, if I have a guy like AJ Styles and I can recycle him. I think here's what I think happened. Do you remember at the end of his run there, he left and he came back like he was a broken guy. He was sort of a dark character with a hoodie on. The problem with that is you had to take that to the next level, and they didn't do it. They brought AJ in. He was cleanly shaved. He had a brand-new hoodie on. He had it pulled up over his head. He was supposed to be down on life. Everything failed him. He fell apart. You really want that guy to fall apart? You should have brought him in looking like a Daniel Bryant beard. You should have brought him in shaggy. You should have found him on a street corner in a filthy secondhand hoodie. You should have played that to the nth degree, because when you play it to that degree they played it, which was not much, it has no effect. You have to have shock value effect to get people's attention. It's like a Michael Bay movie. If you watch Transformers or any Michael Bay movie, it starts out boom, 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 blow them up, bam, bam, bam. What are you doing? I'm getting your attention. Now, I got your attention. I'm going to settle down and tell you the story about Shia LaBeouf and his family, the Wickwickies, and we're going to get deep into the story of why Megatron and everybody came from outer space to this planet. See, that's what's missing. You got to get fans in their face, big effect, get their attention, but then you got to settle in, and you have to tell the detailed story and have the hook and get the people interested and want to follow it. And they completely missed the boat on the AJ Styles thing. It was just like, wow, this guy's down and out. He's got a $180 hoodie on. He's wearing an Under Armour T-shirt. He's got $160 Jordans on. And he's a pair of diesel jeans that cost $300. He's supposed to be down and out. He's doing pretty good if he's down and out.
Right.
You know?
You can't play that. I see where you're coming from. Kind of like, remember when they did the thing back in WCW when they went looking for Mick Foley?
Right.
I remember that.
Yeah. Right. They went looking for Mick Foley. He was in the gut or somewhere. They,
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
So I see where you're coming from. That you think that the reason a lot of the stuff was not working. This is just my personal opinion. I think that having guys, workers that have too much creative control, I think it kills a product. And I think that's what happened in WCW, and I think a lot of that's going on in TNA.
Yeah, here's the thing is, first off, I always say the day that writers replaced bookers in the wrestling business, it was a step down for us. And And I agree with that. You know, I wrote a post today talking about Jim Crockett Promotions in the 80s, and Dusty was booking, and WWF when Patterson was booking. It was good quality stuff because those guys had a grasp on what was creative, and they were workers, so they understood how to do it without having the worker's ego involved and to get people interested. But it's a rare guy that can do that. And if you're getting too much input from too many of the boys, it's going to be a problem. If any of the boys have a vested interest in getting themselves over that are doing the creative, it's probably going to be a problem because ego's going to rear its ugly head and it's going to get in the way. There's nothing wrong with having one of the boys who isn't working put it together if he knows what he's doing, but you have to be really, you have to be really creative because everything's been seen. With the advent of the internet and television, everything's been seen. It's not that you can't do something that was done 20 years ago and redo it in today's era. You certainly can. But, you know, it has to be like that movie we've all seen where, wow, I didn't see that coming. That's what wrestling has to be, and it's gotten away from that. And, you know, part of the problem is that if it's tape and the spoilers get out there, they ruin it for people. And, you know, the Internet's really not been a great thing for professional wrestling, in my opinion. You know, it gave a lot of stuff away. And once you throw the rock, you can't unthrow it. So it's kind of tough. But, you know, you got to have – it really takes a super creative mind to work these days and get people over and continue to do things that people don't see coming. But that's a necessity. You have to do that.
My face okay.
Okay. Well, Oscar for the last few weeks has been complaining about NXT guys coming up to the main roster beating, you know, guys that's been on the main roster on top. You know, just coming in, going over, like Paige coming in and just going over on AJ, that's her name, and some of the other NXT guys like Bo Dallas and those people coming in. And he didn't really understand the concept of why would they bring the NXT guys in like that and just put them over on over guys that's been on the main roster for such a long period of time. Do you have any input on that?
Well, I don't really watch it, so I can input a little bit in generalization. You know, there's two modes of thought. Whoever's booking it doesn't have a clue, which could be the truth, or there's some big thing that they've got, you know, down the road. If they're a smart promoter, or booker. Let's say that it's WrestleMania time this year. I already know where I want to be next year at WrestleMania, and all I've done is work backwards to get to today and work forward. That's not really rocket science. But I think sometimes they do it for shock value. You know, we're in a society of instant gratification and shock value. That's what gets over. So maybe they bring a guy in at NXT, a couple of reasons. The guy in the main roster has been late, not doing what he's asked. Let me teach him a lesson. Let me bring in this guy who nobody really knows and put him over on this guy. Or maybe they're trying to propel next to a different level or get the guys over. To me, and I'm certainly old school in this mentality, and you know, when there's a pay-per-view every 6 weeks, it's difficult to do this, but my thinking is it takes time to generate honest-to-goodness interest. You look at Hogan Andre, that took 13 months to happen, and it was the biggest thing in wrestling perhaps ever that happened. You know, you still have to take some time to get things to work. You can't be in that instant gratification thing. It takes, you know, weeks and months done right to get somebody in a position to get them over or to put them over on somebody and keep both guys over and not bury some guys. It's a lot of work, and you know, it's not something you can do even today with today's society and instant gratification and a pay-per-view every 6 weeks. You really can't do that. It takes some time. If you want some value out of something, it takes some time. My suggestion's always been the same. You gotta drop back on your pay-per-views. You got to make them mean something. You got to do them every 3 months instead of every 6 weeks. And you got to do something incredible because you have to triple the buy rate because you're doing half as many. If you can triple the buy rate, it's still a profit center for you. But you've got 3 months to build this thing up and try to get it over because we've all seen the same old. And that, you know, how many times can Cena face Orton or, you know, whatever, The Rock and Cena? How many times can you do this and still generate genuine interest? It's not a long-term thing. It has to be, you know, something new has to come down the pipe.
I just cannot, no matter how it's explained, no matter what twist is put to it,
I just cannot seem to wrap my mind around it making sense. Now, Mo sorely disagrees with this analogy, but I see it unbelievable, like Duke University going in and sweeping the Miami Heat in 7 games. How do you have so-called guys that are being trained at the school, NXT or the Performance Center, come and get on the main roster and just go over on a seasoned veteran of 5, 10, 15, 20 years? I find it to be unbelievable. That's just
there's the problem, Oscar. If it seems unbelievable to us who are in the business, imagine how it looks to the average fan. It probably seems completely unbelievable to them, too. And guess what? If it's unbelievable and it isn't realistic like it was for 100 years, what do people do? They lose interest when it starts to insult their intelligence because it's so unbelievable. They tune out. They get 20 years old and they go start watching UFC or MMA because they can buy into that. As much as that may be a work in a certain, and I'm not saying a work when they get in the cage, a work with who you put with who, or how you set up this thing, anytime that anything is altered, whether it's the referee's decision or the scorecard or whatever, for profit, it's a work. It doesn't have to be the two guys in there fighting be a work, but it's a work. And anytime you can figure out how to make more money by having it be a work, it's going to be a work. But it has to be believable, or people tune out. If it insults your intelligence, you're only going to take so much. If you say every week, "Oh, this is unbelievable," that guy cannot come in and, it'd be like putting Rey Mysterio over an Andre the Giant. No matter how you make that look, nobody in the world would ever buy that. It's the same thing. If it's not believable, people aren't going to tune in over and over again.
Well,
now, you see there, Mo? I feel so validated. The Gandhi of wrestling, Cueball Carmichael, agrees with me on a point. I feel like a titan of knowledge right now. Thank you, Cueball. We are going to be fast friends.
Do I sense some sarcasm? Do you know, Oscar, that sarcasm is anger's ugly cousin?
No, wait a minute. Cueball, I'm giving you kudos. I'm thanking you for having my back.
I'm sorry, I thought it was sarcasm. Listen, just so you know, I didn't call myself Gandhi or the Guru.
Well, no, I did that. That's self-titled by myself.
Obviously, that's a lot of people's opinion of you, and after listening to you for a half hour, I'm inclined to agree. I've learned more the last 30 minutes than I've learned in the last 20 years, and I'm not even kidding. No. I'm like, who the hell is this guy? Where the hell has he been? I'm going to call you every week.
Just so you know, I stole this from other people and just put it together in my own words. I didn't invent any of this.
Well, you did a good job making it your own because, brother, I'm telling you, if I'd have had you with me in the 90s, I never would have got one ass whooping. If I might have had you as my advisor back in, I would have been world champion, and I don't even wrestle.
Look, I did a shoot interview. It's called The Real Deal, that talks about the story of me and Nelson from the independence up through the WWF days and then leaving there. In the closing of that, my closing thoughts were this, that nobody were responsible for Men on a Mission failing in WWE but Men on a Mission. Okay? The biggest problem we had was, and I'm sure Oscar can agree to this, no one, not one single person ever reached out and tried to be a mentor to us. We had to grab everything as it came. We had to learn it on the fly. And when we didn't learn it on the fly, we were saying or doing something stupid and we'd get in trouble.
That's unfortunate.
Right.
That's not the brotherhood of the business. The brotherhood of the business to me, and I will tell you, when I got up there in like 96, 97, when I walked in the building, and back then I was 6'3", 268% body fat. I wasn't huge because guys were huge up there then. You remember, the guys are monsters. But I was a big guy. But people would look at you like, are you the guy that's here to take my spot? You know what I mean? I mean, it was
right.
To me, I was like, I'm not going to get any help from anybody here, that's for sure. You know, thank God I continued to work independent, and I had, you know, guys to the best at the top, like Bill Eady and Tom Brandy and Jimmy Snook and Beefcake. You know, guys that were nice to me and were kind to me and would help me and say, you know, why don't we do this? See, it'll make more sense. You know, I worked King Kong Bundy probably 50 times, and you know, we always did stuff that was fun and had a good time together, which a lot of people tell me it's hard to do with him, but I always had a good time with him. But you know, guys really reached out and helped me, but I certainly did not get any help when I was up there, and I think that may be the problem. You know, you guys, I remember when you guys were up there and you guys were over, and you know, when guys looked at you and you came in and you got over relatively quick, you were definitely a threat, and I don't think they were going to reach out and try to make you any more threatening than you already were.
When I look back on it, we got absolutely no help. I remember we worked Samoans every day, every night for 6 or 7 months, and you're talking about matches where we're putting them over every night for 6 or 7 months, but they're taking 80% of the match. We're not learning anything. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're taking 80% of the match. We do 1 or 2 spots in the beginning, and then they beat the crap out of me for about 20, 25 minutes, make the hot tag, a little comeback, get Nelson out there, bump me, splash me, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, see, that doesn't even make any sense because, first off, if they take 80% of the match, when they go over on you, who did they beat? Nobody. They should have done it the other should have done the other way. You guys should have had 80% of the match, and then when they beat you, people would have been like, "Damn, man, they beat some tough dudes." You know?
Right.
That's the way it's supposed to work.
We like I said, Bret Hart was helpful. Macho, the time that he was there, he was helpful. But you know, as far as somebody sitting down and saying, "Hey guys, you know, this is how this works," and you know, I mean, a prime example, we probably were there on the road maybe a month, probably going to our second TV taping, and we were in Poughkeepsie, New York, and Nelson and I had just come out of the ring, and we always done this spot. We done this spot when we tried out for Vince. We done it every time we had a television match. We did this one combination spot. It was a drop toe hold, Nelson to kiss the guy with the leg drop.
Right.
We walked back through the curtain, and Bam Bam Bigelow pulls Nelson to the side. He says, "Hey Nelson," he says, "you can't do that." And Nelson's like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "That leg drop you do." He said, "That's Yoko's deal. You can't do that." And Nelson's like, all Nelson said was, "Man, that's just one of the combination moves we do. Vince told us not to change a thing." This is coming from Vince.
Right.
And that's all Nelson was trying to do was explain that. Well, fast forward 24 hours, we get to White Plains, New York. Vince calls us in the office and pretty much fires us that day. What? You know, and Oscar ass comes up with some cheeseburger analogy, you know, save the job or whatever. But it was just that kind of stuff, man. You know, we didn't get any help. Every little thing, it was a problem. It was nobody would say, "Well, guys, try this," or you know, we didn't get any help, man. You know, and that's probably why I'm so I keep up with just about everything that you post and everything that you do because for me, when I talk to young guys, it's like, look, guys, I'm trying to tell you the ins and outs, what you need to know, what you don't need to know, because I know that if I had one person that would have done that for us, if I had been able to stay healthy, I would still be there working in some capacity.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Because we didn't have that mentor, you know, after the first tour, I was so bitter and so hated people. I didn't ever want to go back to that place.
Right. What were you gonna say, Q?
I was going to say to me, I mean, the mentality of the business, and I've always been this way because guys were that way with me, is
I would have said, hey guys, come here. Why don't so you guys don't get accused of duping Yoko's move? Why don't you guys change it, instead of drop a leg, maybe drop a knee on the back? You know what I mean? You try to get creative and help the guy, change it up just a little bit so he doesn't look like it. You don't tell him, hey, you can't do that, and then go rat him out to Vince or something. I mean, that's not the way the business is supposed to work.
Well, see, here it is 24 years later. That's an awesome thought, because, okay, what about do the leg drop and, like you say, either a knee or drop the splash on the guy's back or something. Either way,
right.
you're taking out the leg drop. Yeah,
exactly.
That's awesome.
Well,
you don't get no suggestions like that.
It was a thing that where we wasn't going to get no suggestions because we were over with the fans. The whole thing with the boys, like Cueball pointed out, them feeling threatened, everything that they want to do was designed to get us, out of there by any means possible, because you had a small collection of guys there. Everything was about money. Everything was about their spot they had on the card. So if they felt threatened in any way, they would do anything they can by any means necessary, mostly underhanded, to neutralize whatever that threat was. And that's because they didn't expect Men on a Mission to be over. They expected it to fail miserably. But when it turned out that the people were behind it, with a little help, because, see, back then, you had a lot, they needed a lot. The Undertaker was not the Undertaker just because of his character. The Undertaker had a lot of help getting that character over. I'm talking Blackbirds, I'm talking hearses, I'm talking druids, I'm talking, talking tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars of things to get that character over. Lex Luger, aircraft carriers, army men, tanks, whatever, a Lex Express bus going all over the world. Whatever it took.
$300,000 bus.
Pardon?
A $300,000 bus.
Yeah, I mean, so, and Men on a Mission had the people, and we didn't have all that, and a lot of people didn't like that. They hated it, and so by any means necessary, they did the logical choice. They took steps to try to get us out.
Yeah, when you get somebody who's over naturally because of the way that people respond to them, and they don't, back then everything was a gimmick. I mean, they put tons of money, like you said, into everybody's gimmick to get them over. But when you guys come in off the street and you're getting over just because you can get over, then you become the biggest threat. And back then you're exactly right. And I always said, we all wanted to make money in the wrestling business. When it was a hobby, we had fun. When it turned into a money-making business or a livelihood, then it became a job. But the fact of the matter is, you still have to be ethical, and you still have to apply to the history of the brotherhood of the business. And it should never be all for one and one for all. It should be all for everybody and everybody for all. And that's the way the business, I was taught that it worked. Guess what? If you guys get over and I get over and he gets over and they get over and everybody gets over, no matter how we do it, then all of a sudden, guess what? There's more revenue and everybody at every level makes more money. So it's got to be a team effort. But, that mentality, I know that mentality wasn't there when I was there in the late 90s. Guys were, they were getting whooped by WCW in the ratings the last couple of years I was there. And, it was you could cut the air and the atmosphere with a freaking knife. It was horrible. Horrible.
Yeah, all right, Q, tell us one more time about the Bruce Hart seminar, where, when, how, and everything like that.
Sure. It's August 15th, 16th, and 17th. It's near Wilmington, North Carolina. It's going to be Friday night from 4 until 11, Saturday from 8 in the morning until 10 at night, and then all day Sunday. Bruce and I are running it together. I'm obviously primarily going to give 90% of it to Bruce because I think the guy's a genius. He trained all the Hart family. He trained a lot of other guys, Pillman, Benoit, guys like that. Very smart guy in the business, raised in it, second-generation wrestler. And he's going to come down and work with everybody for 3 days. And, it's dungeon-style training, but it's not the old dungeon that Stu ran where he's going to take you downstairs and stretch you and torture you either. It's the mentality of, we're going to try to teach some of these young guys what matters in the business, how to get over, that wrestling sets up everything, and there's no sense in doing random high spots. If one's properly placed and it makes sense in a match, there's a time and a place for it, then we're going to do it. They invented the triple threat match in Calgary and Stampede back in the 70s. It was called the Bermuda Triangle match. So they were very creative. So Bruce and I are going to work with some guys to get a hold of me at Cueball Carmichael at Facebook, Cueball469 at Twitter, or my email is pedigree, just like it sounds, 911 at gmail.com. And get up with me at any of those addresses, probably the Cueball Carmichael, just like it sounds, CUEBALLCARMICHAEL at Facebook, and I'll give you some information on it. We'll try to get you down here and, get you 3 days with Bruce Hart. I think it's going to be exciting. It's going to be a lot of fun. I had a camp. I ran in January with sold-out camp. We allowed 12 guys. We had 12. They left. It's been a great experience. A lot of the guys have had some international exposure after going to that camp, worked in Japan and stuff like that. So, it can be pretty good for you. We've got a good connection with Jeff Jarrett. He's either going to try to attend or we're going to get a DVD to him of the guys in the camp. Bruce is working with him. We're going to try to get some guys a shot. Bruce still has a lot of stroke with getting people looked at down in Florida. So, he's got a little bit of stroke. I have no stroke, but I'll do my best.
Cueball, buddy, we're going to get you on sometime in August after the camp so you can tell us how everything went. This has been an honor and an education, my man. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Oscar, Mo. Thanks. It's been great. I really enjoyed it, guys. It was a pleasure to get to talk to you. I look forward to talking to you again soon.
Send well wishes to the midgets, okay?
I will. Thank you so much, Mo. I appreciate all your emails the past couple of days, man. It was really
Not
nice.
a problem,
really
brother. If you need me, you know where to find me, okay?
I do. All right, brother. I love you, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Love you too. Take care.
Wow. Now, that was an education.
Yes, sir, it was.
Learn anything?
That was a definite education. All right, we got a lot of business to attend to. We're going to do the WWE report now. And then while we're doing that, we're going to, Felix, why don't you go ahead and wait about 5 minutes and then try to grab Ivan Koloff for us, okay?
Did you want me to play that commercial bit, too, after the report?
Actually, you're going to play it after she's done because I have another one I'm going to do now.
Okay.
Oh.
All right?
All right.
All right. Okay. The WWE report is brought to you by Freeman Foot Care. We still don't have the recorded commercial with the cast that I want to do, but that's okay because as I am the loving, giving host, I'm going to do this commercial. Then we're actually going to play the commercial that I did last week. Felix recorded it, so Freeman Foot Care gets 2 commercials. I'm doing a commercial while Dreamy's getting herself together. So here we go, Freeman Foot Care commercial take 2. All right. Okay, so I looked down at my feet and looked at here. My corns have got corns, my blisters have blisters, and my bunions have got bunions. The ugliest thing even I've ever seen. And the swelling. What can I say about the swelling? I went to the beach and I stepped in the sand, and some wise-ass kid wrote Bigfoot was here. They're not even footprints. I've got dinosaur tracks in the sand. I went to my nephew's 8th birthday party, and they thought I had clown shoes. But they weren't clown shoes. They were my bare feet that were that swollen. I go to a podiatrist. He looks down at my feet, and his medical opinion is one word, damn. As he fainted, I left. So I go down to Freeman Foot Care. Dr. Freeman looks at my feet. She gives me the right medication. Now I'm shuffling off to Buffalo. Freeman Foot Care, where the moral is they know what the hell they're doing. Freeman Foot Care, with locations in Griffith, Indiana, and Gary, Indiana. And now here's Dreamy Mimi with the WWE report. Take it away, Dreamy.
John Cena and Roman Reigns, fast friends. Naomi and Cameron, call it quits. This is your WWE report for the week of July 6, 2014. With the Authority on vacation, chaos kicked off Monday Night Raw as Roman Reigns came out to announce his predicted victory at Battleground. The Demon King interrupted. Officials and management came out to break up the brawl, but Reigns was left standing tall. The saga continues. The Usos went up against Eric Rowan and Luke Harper of the Wyatt family. Luke Harper got the pin, but on which Uso? Who knows? Kane, apparently tiring of being the guard dog of Randy Orton, has his sights on becoming the next WWE champion, as he is a participant in the Fatal 4-Way at Battleground. John Cena, Roman Reigns, the Demon King, and Randy Orton will all do battle for the coveted title. Will Seth Rollins ever get to cash in the Money in the Bank contract? At every attempt, Dean Ambrose is stalking him like a bad shadow. Perhaps if the Shield were still intact, he may have fared better at his attempts at vying for the title. Welcome back, The Miz and Chris Jericho. In a match on Raw, Jericho prevailed over Miz with his signature maneuver, the Walls of Jericho. But victory came with a price, as the Wyatt family had seemingly set their sights on Jericho. What is the pattern of their line of attack? The random violence they ensue should have everyone in the WWE locker room, superstars and divas alike, on edge. As Raw was in Montreal, the fans became unglued with a welcomed appearance by the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be, the Hitman Bret Hart. Cameron's heel turn is official. In a tag match against Paige and AJ Lee, Cameron showed her true colors with antics like refusing to tag in. They suffered the loss. In the aftermath, the former BFFs got down and dirty in a catfight. Remember, I saw this in a dream. Look for an upcoming match in a future pay-per-view. In the main event, it was John Cena versus Mr. Money in the Bank, Seth Rollins. It ended, of course, in a battleground fatal four-way preview, with Reigns siding with Cena, but that camaraderie will be short-lived, as both men have their eyes set on the same prize, the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. With over 2,000 hours of content, the WWE Network has a free preview this week with no credit card required. Check out Men on a Mission and all the superstars of yesterday and today. This WWE report was brought to you by Freeman Foot Care of Gary, Indiana, 219-882-2000.
What happened to what you saw in the dream? You was telling me about the I saw the dream segment. Well, what was it?
I didn't see anything in the dream.
You saw it in a dream. You was telling me about it yesterday. You're not going to include that in the report?
Oh, what you saw in the dream?
No. When you saw the dream, you saw it in the dream. Sir Mo goes back to Alabama and gets his ass kicked by that kid Justin Overstreet. That'll
never happen.
What's that, Mo?
That'll never happen again.
Well, she saw it in a dream. I didn't. I got all the confidence in the world in you, bro.
That's why it's called a dream. That's why it's called a dream. That'll never happen again.
Well, I got all the confidence in the world in you, but based on your performance a couple of weeks ago, she said her faith in you was sorely misplaced.
Well, see, okay, let me clue you in.
Yeah, please.
Now, I go down there, I put this kid over, right?
Yeah.
I get 4 bookings out of it.
Hey, I understand.
It'll never happen again.
Oh, okay. You got 4 bookings?
He will never, ever, ever beat me again.
Okay, you got 4 bookings in Alabama?
Yes.
I got a question. They took child support out my check for my regular job. Can I get booked down there? Because I need another situation.
Yeah. Let me get you on August the 9th.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Yeah, not a problem.
I need another situation.
Okay, I got
Cleveland, this trying to work for the man has backfired.
Well, you should have knew that all along. I mean,
well, hey,
you're
tried.
how old?
Right.
You've been doing this how long?
Yeah, I know, right?
You're 59 years old. You ought to know better than to work for the man.
Yeah, I know, but I told you she made me go get a job. What the hell?
Okay, you know what? You decided to get married without having the financial part together. So
Jesus! Oh!
I thought it was all going to come together.
No. I just had one of those Fan Fest 3 flashbacks from Rhode Island.
Fan Fest 3 from Rhode Island?
Yeah.
No, you didn't have any flashbacks from Rhode Island, and shut up.
Hall of Fame weekend?
No, you didn't have any fans. No.
I just,
Felix, do we have Ivan Koloff?
No, I'm actually going to make the call right now. I was just waiting to give the few minutes, and I'm going to place the call right now.
We need Ivan.
We do.
So, Oscar, what do you think about Cueball Carmichael, man?
That was one of the greatest interviews of anybody I've ever heard, and I'm not even kidding.
God knows the
now,
stuff, man.
I agree with that.
I'm trying to figure out, I don't want to ask him this, but I'm trying to figure out, how come he never got, like, in the forefront? How come he's not, like, a household name? He didn't really go for the superstar pin or nothing like that?
It's politics, man.
Wow.
It's all politics, bro. They ain't going to let but so many, I mean.
Yeah, but I'm saying, with all that knowledge and, with all that experience, wow.
Yeah, but
now that interview blew my mind.
I think that too, and he may agree. I think a lot of that too is a bad thing too, because when you know how the system works, man.
Yeah.
People can't.
Okay, guys, I do have the legendary Ivan Koloff, the Russian Bear himself. Here we go.
Oh, this is going to be good. Ivan Koloff, how are you, sir?
Very good, Governor. How you doing, brother? Yes,
I'm all right, man. It is an honor for you to be here. How you doing? How's the missus and how things in North Carolina?
Oh, real good. Yeah, everything's going cool. Couldn't expect it better. It'd be illegal. Illegal substance.
Oh, okay. All right. My first question is, take us back. Take us back to how you got in the business. Take us back to how you got in the WWF. Lay it all out for us, because I got a lot of questions I got to ask. So that's where we'll start. Lay it out for us.
All right. Well, I ended up having a dream to be a wrestler very young, 8 years old. Ended up, mother and father took us to a friend's place that had TV. That's about, together about 1950, and little black and white TV, and wrestling was on, and man, I fell in love with it. I started talking about it right away. I was going to be a wrestler, and of course I had to prove that to my brothers. There's 10 kids in our family, 7 boys and 3 girls, and I had to be right in the middle of all that, middle child, and so I had to prove to them that I could do it or handle it. So I got a lot of experience trying to fight my brothers, and even my sister would get into sometimes, the older sister, and whack me with the mop or something if I walked across her floor. But yeah, I kept that dream. Got older, of course. I ended up pursuing it, but I didn't know how to go about it. I ended up, remember, sort of overfeeding my face at home. We used to have a cellar downstairs, had a big garden. We'd take in food like potatoes, for example, and have a big bin downstairs. And I'd go down there and bring up about 5-10 pounds of potatoes, peel them, and make potato sandwiches. And man, I ended up gaining weight. It wasn't all fat either, because on the farm you had to work hard. It was a dairy farm. You had to milk cows by hand and bring in the crops and feed them. And we had a couple dozen head, and ended up keeping that dream, getting in a little trouble with the law as a teenager, and because I really thought that by being a tough guy, I had to do that. I thought I had to do that anyway to get noticed in the business, and as a teenager I ended up doing some crazy stuff, starting off by quitting school at a young age and going out there and trying to prove to everybody that I could make a good wrestler. What you do is end up having a few beers and win a bar, and end up getting in the fight, and hopefully you beat somebody up and get a name. At least that's what I was told. That maybe you could get famous that way. After you get my jaw jacked a few times, I realized that wasn't the way to do it. And I ended up going to a wrestling school, about 19 years old, and figured doing it the hard way. I had to build myself up, because I wasn't, I've never been a tall guy, 5'10", and I had to put some more beef on, and ended up going up to 235 in the matter of 6 months, and 265 by the next year, and graduated the wrestling school. And there's a number of stories I tell about stuff that happened there, but I ended up graduating, getting some matches around the Toronto, Hamilton area up in Ontario, Canada, and I ended up getting beat up on TV. I was luckily I was wrestling under a different name, and that because I was told that starting off you probably wouldn't end up winning a lot of matches, so you wouldn't want a bad record. So I didn't start wrestling as Ivan Koloff until '67. I ended up beating the promoter's brother from. I was on a trip to Japan, got a tour over there in '67, and ended up beating the promoter's brother, Chuck Rougeau, and he ended up telling me that I looked like a Russian. You know, that if I would shave my head and leave my long red beard, that I could look a bit like Lenin, the leader of Russia at one time. And he said that I think you'd make a good Russian. I was about 300 pounds by then, and sort of looked the part, I guess, and start to learn the business because started at around 62. So 1962, 61, I went to the wrestling school in 62. I graduated and started getting matches on there. By the time 67 came around and went to Montreal, I had quite a bit of experience under my belt. And they ended up giving me the handle, Ivan Koloff, the Russian Bear. And they had me run into the ring from the locker room, round and round the ring while they announced my opponent. And as they announced my name, I jumped into the ring, attacked my opponent, beat him up, put him in an inverted backbreaker over my shoulder, and dropped him on the back of his head on the top turnbuckle, and get a victory that way. And it worked because they thought I was like a mad Russian guy, and that won the Canadian belt, lost it, won it back again. Then the 2-year period got noticed by New York, and ended up finding myself 69 down in New York, because my hero was the great Bruno Sammartino, legend in the business. And at that time, 63, he had just won the belt, and I got to wrestle him as under my name is Red McNulty in Pittsburgh, and realized that he was a good hero to follow after, because he definitely was a strong guy and was definitely good for the part, because he beat me up in about 20 seconds on TV. But to come back 8 years later, 69, I wrestled him around the loop, around the whole territory up there, the upper east of the USA. And after about 10 months, won some matches, but never won the belt. Time to leave. I had a trip to Australia, Japan, and I was staying in Hawaii, and got a call to come back to New York and wrestle Bruno. And I figured it all out after a while. What it was is, I believe Bruno was kind of beat up at the time. He had problems with his back, and evidently I came off the top rope and landed 300 pounds pretty hard on his stomach, chest area, and he tightened up so much he tore some stomach muscles. And because I accused Bruno of just giving it to me, because it didn't seem like I had hit him that hard. Felt bad, I guess, in a way, because here I am, not only wrestling my hero, but get to beat him on, Madison Square Gardens. But I accused him of that a few times. He says, "No, man, I had to go to the hospital after and ripped some muscles coming off the top rope, So ended up losing the belt. Of course, I won it fair and square. That Pedro Morales, he cheated me, right? And, that's my story, That's something like the story I tell when people ask me, how did you come from Russia? And I told them I was such a bad boy when I was in Russia that they put me on a raft down the Bering Strait, and some Canadians pulled me in and raised me. And they raised me pretty crude, because that's why I ended up being such a bad guy. Anyway, I ended up...
No, go ahead. No, go ahead, sir.
No, I just saying, from there, of course, I left, come back and won the belt, lost it. I went on different territories, went on to Minnesota, AWA, wrestled guys like Billy Robinson, The Blackjacks were there, Wahoo McDaniels, Ric Flair started with at that time, 73, and a lot of guys, the Iron Sheik, the guy Brunzell, all those guys were starting around that time at that school there, and got to wrestle with a lot of those guys that I'd end up seeing later down in the Charlotte area, because I came down there in 74, stayed a few years, and back and forth to New York, to different territories in the NWA, back to Japan, 12 tours to Japan, and ended up having a tour over there to the Middle East. And, just really a good time. I ended up enjoying the travel, and a lot of hard work, though, because you wrestle 7 days a week, and when you're on the road, you're on the road all the time. So it was definitely had to break it up with just to keep the sanity with some party life, and at least I thought I did. I wish now I would have done it another way, because I struggled a lot with that. Ended up not only becoming a drug addict, but an alcoholic by the time it was all over, because pretty soon you take excuse, wow, I got hurt, so I had to take some pills, and it still hurt some more, so I took some more pills, and of course you're still taking the booze and all the other crazy stuff that pretty wild life for sure.
Now, what was the what tell us the fundamental difference between working for Vince Sr. and then working for Vince Jr.?
Well, Vince was the old school, He ended up winning the ring, and he pretty well wrestled the guy the way you wanted to wrestle him, did what you wanted to do, and if you're good enough or tough enough, you beat him. If you weren't, I guess you pretty well knew what the office wanted, but it was the type of thing that a lot of times back in those days, if you end up beating the guy, because there was more money if you won your match, more money for your main event, and more money if you're the champion. So if the more money is what everybody wanted, then a lot of times what happened, the guys that end up beating each other, and you just go back and tell the promoter, I don't know, I guess you're not feeling it, we can kick out on 3 or on 2, So you get away with that until you had to beat that guy again, and guys like Wahoo McDaniel and that, Blackjack Mulligan, Andre the Giant, you didn't want to get those guys upset. Most of the guys were tough back in those days. I mean, I ended up wrestling guys like Vern Gagne and that, and as soon as I locked up with him, he slapped me in the side of the face, got my ear, hit my ear, and busted my eardrum. Man, that made me hot. I said, I'm going to get a beating here. I'm going to try to give out as much as I can. And, man, I started kicking him and punching him as hard as I could and everything. And he got the message back after the match was over. That's the way I like it. So I said, man, I don't know if I should be in this business or not, but there was a lot of guys like that, that they were just tough guys, and getting to know them later on, like Frank Gotch and Danny Hodge, and so many guys. And
right.
So I tried to watch my P's and Q's after that and not get too many of those big tough guys too upset with me, but evidently I was a little threat to them at the time, because I ended up getting involved. When if you didn't settle it in the ring, you would end up going to the bar or out in a hotel or room or something after that, because I seen, matter of fact, I refereed some of those matches where guys got carried it out into after the arena show was over, they carried it out outside and continued the match, type thing, bars and all that.
Oh, okay.
It was a little heavy.
Now, what you guys had to know then, what guys don't have to know today, is my next question. What is the secret of how you guys employed the psychology of making fans believe that it was real?
I think that the idea of being solid, like I was just saying, Vern Gagne locked up with me and he slapped me, bust my eardrum, and that's the way he did it. His thinking was, if he made me mad, I'd put up a good fight. He wasn't worried about it because he's a great wrestler, AAU type of champion. And same thing with Eddie Graham down there in Florida. I had a run-in one night being Saito against Mike Graham, his son, and Steve Kern, and ended up had to rip his suit off, Eddie Graham, and man, he was throwing haymakers and hitting us in the face, and so we had to do the same thing. He just had to take over, and so I guess that was a big difference between wrestling today when Junior took over, and compared to his dad left it pretty well up to the boys because that was the art of wrestling back then. But Vince seen it as is something different, like more like Hollywood, soap opera. But I don't knock that either because I see some of these boys today and they come off the top rope onto tables, and you don't do that kind of stuff and not get hurt. Fly out of the ring and hit the barriers and all that, chairs and all that, man. Just a matter of time before you get, serious injuries. And but I think that was a big difference between Junior and Senior. And I guess for Junior it proved out good because he excelled wrestling with the WWE to $1 billion business today. And it was good business back then, but it was not controlled like it is today. And in a sense, it had to come to that because with age and all that, blood wasn't allowed in the ring. So if you started bleeding towards the end there, they ended up having to stop the match and all this because they wouldn't allow commission wouldn't allow any bleeding in the ring because people could get sick from it. And I think that's this way here. Vince Jr. can control it better, and so I think that the wrestling, to me, other than the solidness of it, I see today some of them throw some stuff in real solid, some of the kicks and whacks on the back and stuff like that. They're good. These guys are good. Don't take it away from them. Whenever you kick somebody in, 6 feet high and hit them in the face and not knock their head off, I'm sure they're laying it in pretty good. And if it isn't, people see it and lose the credibility then. So they know that too. So even though today wrestling is more of a controlled thing, that they still know that the promoters want the seats filled, and they're not going to fill them with little pansy stuff going out there, guys missing by 6 inches and not laying it in. So that's a big difference. I think today it's done similar to what it was years ago. We went to the TV and each week promoted it for the big show of the month in the large arenas. And today Vince does something the same. He has a TV to promote it for a big show or whenever it comes up, I guess. But there's a lot of big shows today because he goes for the ratings, and that's where the big money is, I guess.
Right.
TV.
Speaking of the money, what was the money like back then?
Compared to now, oh man, nothing really. I heard this saying back then when I was wrestling, guys like Wahoo or any of the Cat Lad, Angelo Huskin, that a lot of those boys left football, come over to wrestling because they could make more money. And football, it's a big sport today. It's a multi-billion dollar business. I mean, it's so much bigger today, just like wrestling. It's I think the idea that it's being promoted a lot better than when it was back then. As far as I forgot your question. I'm sorry.
I was asking basically, did you guys make a good living back in them days? For the time, did you feel like you were getting rich? Were you getting athlete money with the way the business was back then?
No, you weren't, because you got no royalties whatsoever.
Okay.
And even autographs weren't allowed until the late 80s. Doing autographs so you could pick up somebody, especially the good guys like that thing, Rock and Roll Express and that. For us, mean ugly guys, that wasn't you could do that anyway because promoting would allow you to do that. They ended up firing you if they knew you're going out there doing autographs and mingling with people and that. But I think that the money compared to then, if today the figures that I hear are right, some of these guys that make like the $10 million and that with figures in all the pay-per-views and such. I know these guys make more than that, like John Cena and all that, The Rock. They went on to do movies and everything that, I'm sure that now, I heard The Rock, $176 million. I don't know if it's true or not with Hollywood, but that's big money then. But, if we were to make a guy in the middle to main event, $100,000 a year in the 80s, that was good. If you made $150 to $200, yeah, that was very good back in those days. Then after the pay-per-views came in, of course, the money jumped up pretty significantly. You know, where the guys were, Hulk Hogan, those guys, they were some of the first guys. I'm sure they were making, not long after that, like $5 million a year, you know. And so, in comparison, there was nothing back in the old days. I even remember when I started off wrestling in a town against Don Leo Jonathan, 2 out of 3, double main event match, and getting paid $60.50.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but that's back in the 60s, so, you know.
Now, I know that you have 1,000 stories, and unfortunately, we don't have time to hear them all. But the one that I do want to hear before I let you go, and I got a couple other guys that may have a couple of questions, but this is the one story I got to hear. Renee Goulet told me about the story about you actually got on a fight, a real shoot fight, on a plane with somebody. Tell me what happened.
Yeah, well, you know, I'll give it a short version because long version takes too long, but it's in my book too. Is That Wrestling Fake? The Bare Facts by Ivan Koloff that you can get. Go to my website, ivankoloff.com.
Okay.
And my writer, producer, Scott Teal ends up having some of those books, and I tell a lot of these stories on. But basically what it was is that was during my days of drinking and drugs and all that. I ended up wrestling Backlund and the New York area, leaving the territory. I had torn some ligaments in my knee on the right side, and I was looking forward to get back and get arthroscopic surgery done to the knee because I had suffered being on the road about a year at this situation. And they wanted me to go to Kuwait and entertain the troops over there, a group of guys back then, and I was one of them. Iron Sheik, Fuji was on there, Adrian Adonis, Dr. Love, a whole bunch of guys. And we ended up on the flight over there from New York. It was just like a trip, 3 weeks or something like that, and we come back. Ended up getting into, I understood it was okay to bring a bottle over there, but I found out later in the Middle East they won't allow alcohol. You know, you're not bringing duty-free alcohol over there, but they gave it to me at the airport here, leaving to go over there. Of course, I got into that after they cut me off and serving me drinks, and I had my bag overhead, and I was sitting back there with Dr. Love and ended up finishing the bottle, and Dr. Love sort of gave up on me, and I remember chug-a-lugging the rest of it, and I had told him, he had said, leave me alone, Ivan, but I want to sleep. I'm tired. So I figured to finish the bottle, threw it at him in the leg, and I remember he was upset about that. Anyway, I took off walking then around the plane, big jumbo jet plane, and there was foreign people playing cards or playing games, and they had the seat out like facing each other, and there was a table, and I remember being really messed up, and I came and I sat right on that table talking to these people. Well, they didn't tell me to get out of there because they could tell I was drinking. But finally I moved on and went around, and I see Mr. Fuji over there, and I went over and started talking to him, and Iron Sheik kept sticking his nose in our conversation. Evidently I didn't like that, because after the third time he did it, and Mr. Fuji was telling him, because when we went over to the Middle East, it was like I was a Russian, he's from the Middle East. I'd probably be wrestling against him, and I'd be the bad guy, he'd be the good guy. And so Mr. Fuji thought it was wrong for him to be talking to me on the plane. So the third time he ended up interfering with our conversation. I hauled off and slapped him, and I hit him so hard that I knocked him over the seats. And he got up, and I turned to stagger away, and he leg dived me, and we fought on the plane. I don't remember it because I was out blacking in and out. Ended up waking up later, and Mr. Fuji had me strapped in the seat, and every time I'd get up to go after the Iron Sheik again, he'd tighten the belt. I had about, for the first time since gaining all that weight, I had a 30-inch waist, I think. Mr. Fuji kept tightening that belt up. And, I remember after a while we had landed in Jordan before Kuwait, and I went to the bathroom on the plane and realized that, man, I was all tore up, face all bloody. He had bit me on the neck, and that just all the blood all over. And I was vowing on the plane that I was going to finish it when I got out at the airport. When the plane landed and the militia came on the plane, machine guns and everything. Mr. Fuji became, I guess, an interpreter for us, or I guess a spokesperson for us, and got us off. And we ended up going in there, and I was still after the Iron Cheek in the airport. He talked me out of it, actually. He ended up put out a good act. He said, you would scare me. You end up being so crazy on the plane. You slapped me, and so I had to protect myself. Cosro and Iron Cheek tried to explain it to me in the airport. Anyway, that was the quick version of the story that happened.
Okay.
When I was playing, but it was all my fault. It wasn't Iron Cheek. It was I was drinking and too messed up to even fight, let alone walk. You know.
All right.
That happened a lot of times. I'm glad
I got to the bottom of that.
Like that and bars over in Japan and in America, here in Canada, I was a nutcase. Yeah.
Okay, Mo, you got any questions for Ivan?
Well, not so much a question as much as a thank you. I don't know if you remember this, Ivan, but years ago in the early 90s, you and Bobby Fulton had a wrestling school there in Indian Trail, North Carolina.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and Nelson and I used to come up and work out sometimes with you and your guys, and you taught us the fine art of working as a heel, not being in a hurry to take over on the baby faces. And we remember we remember that everywhere we went, and I've been waiting 20-some odd years to tell you I really appreciate that, because we learned a lot coming up there, working out with your guys.
I started off with Paul Jones, but he only stayed a week or so, and then Bobby Fulton came in. He was a great asset because he knew a lot of scientific wrestling and that. Matter of fact, one of our good friends there, Big Maple, right?
Yes.
He came down for a few lessons. I don't know if you were down there at that time or not.
Yeah.
But I remember we had two rings in there.
Yeah.
Yeah? It was you and him? All right.
Yeah, it was me and him.
I heard he just passed away, right?
He passed away in February.
Man, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You guys had a lot of potential. I know you went up there and wrestled for Vince after that, and that was great. Yeah. I'd love to be able to see all the boys again.
Yeah, Nelson and I used to. It was funny because at the time you were doing the school, you also had a. I guess it was a home security business that you were doing, and Nelson and I used to think it was funny because you'd pull up at the school and you'd be driving like a little silver, like Toyota Corolla or something like that.
Yeah, that's right.
And Nelson's like, man, it's a Russian bear Ivan Koloff. What the hell he doing driving that little raggedy ass car? But it wasn't until we got older we realized that little raggedy ass car probably got better gas mileage than the big Cadillacs and Mercedes that Flair and everybody was driving. You know, when you driving all those towns.
Yeah, that little car went 250,000 miles without breaking down. Just one day I was driving and the whole carburetor blew off. I said, time for rest, old car. I drive that thing, ball-headed tires and everything. It doesn't stop. It was a good car.
I just wanted to personally thank you for all the help that you gave us, because it was really beneficial.
Well, my pleasure. I run into quite a few of the guys. Sean Cummings, he's still up there around the Greensboro area. He just qualified to be a police officer.
Okay.
Yeah, Sean. Do you remember him?
Yes, sir.
He was helping me do the instructing. He's a really agile guy. Jump to the top rope and come off cross bodies and everything.
You had some really good guys back then.
Really did, yeah. I'd like to see a lot of the boys that I run into once in a while.
Jeff Holt? What's the guy's name? Jeff Holt? He's the amateur kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was the big guy Vladimir. I gave the name to Vladimir Koloff.
Yeah, I still to this day keep in contact with Vladimir.
Oh, do you? All right.
Yeah, he's doing good.
Yeah.
Now, have you gotten a chance? Have you gotten a chance to look at this character they have in WWE now, Rusev, who is straight at Ivan Koloff ripoff, but does not do it nowhere near as great as you did it?
Yeah, I caught him a couple of times. I've seen him. He looks like a big enough guy, quite agile and everything. Obviously strong. I don't think they need the women thing, but I know Vince is convinced that they need the valet like that for him. But I think if they kept it real serious, it'd probably be better than trying to.
Yeah. Now, all right, do you have anything to plug? Any upcoming appearances, autograph signings? Are you going to be anywhere? Where can we find you?
Matter of fact, this coming Saturday, I'm going to be up D.C. area, Chantilly. They got autograph thing there they do with these guys that put on, cards, wrestling cards, football cards, boxing and all that. They have big conventions, and they got one up there in Chantilly this weekend. I'm going to be there on Sunday, and that's going to be great. I really look forward to those because the man that hires me to come to, he does them all over the place. Other than that, I got a ministry, and I'm ordained now, so the last 10 years I've been officiating weddings. So people want something different, especially in this area here in North South Carolina. I do that, and I speak at churches. I really have a good time with that. We even put on matches now where we turn it into church, I don't know if you're familiar with that, but we put on some matches, give a couple testimonies of the older guys, and then we do a little sermon and tell them about the Lord, and it's really worked out good.
Before we let you go, Dreamy has a question for you.
Okay, I just wanted you to tell us about your book again. Give the name of your book and your website again.
Okay, it's IvanKoloff.com is the name of my site. The book is called Is That Wrestling Faith? Because so many people ask me that questions over the years, like, well, Ivan, tell me the truth now. Is that wrestling faith? So I explain it in the book about, by all my injuries and the fact that I compare it to Evel Knievel, more or less, the idea that he knew ahead of time what he was doing. He practiced what he did at a time. But so does football players and basketball players. Every sport, you got to know how to handle the ball or handle yourself, or else you're going to get killed in there. As it is, you can't always do things right, so you end up getting hurt. And so I go into a lot of the stories, like the one I just told about going overseas, all the fights I got into. I try to keep it to myself rather than talk about everybody else and knock everybody else. More or less my experiences and my feeling about wrestling and my love for it. And so if anybody would like to help my ministry and at the same time get entertained, definitely contact because I got a link to Scott Teal. He's the author of the book. He's written a lot of different guys' books, and to get the book directly to him, I'd be sending me an order. It'll probably be another month before I get him, so it's best to get him from him, and then enjoy the book. And if you want to go to my site, order an autographed picture. That helps my ministry also. So, or if you want to get married out there, I have to come and speak at the church. At their church. Please go on. I do it on a love offering basis. So.
Okay. Hey, before we let you go, I have one question, because listening to you and spending time with you in the past when I first broke into the business, I would never imagine you of being the kind of person that had an ego, at all, and I'm pretty sure that this is just my assumption. I'm pretty sure that you're pretty happy with what you've accomplished in this business. Currently, there's a petition out right now that's going around.
Mm-hmm.
That's going around the web. People are signing to get Ivan Koloff in the Hall of Fame. What are your thoughts on the Hall of Fame? Was that important to you?
It is. For years there, I was just saying, oh well, it's not really a Hall of Fame, but it is really. It's what Vince recognizes as the Hall of Fame, and the wrestling back then goes back a long ways. It's documented, and I've been inducted in the Hall of Fame up in Amsterdam, New York, the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, and I'd like to be recognized by Vince's several reasons, but I guess the main one being that he of getting to see the boys again, and
right.
I've had so many people ask, how come you're not in there? I'm in the Hall of Fame. Man, you're the third guy to ever have the title, and you won it from such a legend as Bruno Sammartino. You should be in there. I said, just for the reason of getting some royalties from some of the products that the market would be nice too, But,
of course.
I definitely would like to be part of it. And I think that the campaign that they're doing there going out is very good.
I think so. I think it's progressing. It's been a long time coming. It should have. Yeah, it should have happened. It should have happened years ago. But of course, none of us are in control of how that thing works.
I think we just lost Ivan.
Did we?
Yeah, we did. We just lost him.
Okay.
I don't know. I guess he lost connection on his side. Sorry, guys.
All right. That's okay.
That was a phenomenal interview.
Boy, it's been a hell of a night, guys. What do you think?
Yeah.
What do you think, Felix?
I've just been sitting back, listening to some great storytellers. In times like that, you ask it just a few questions and you just let them go, because you know what, that makes your job a lot easier. I'm not saying that we don't do a good job, but when you have guys who love to tell good stories, there's no reason to say nothing else. Just sit back and listen.
Right.
I enjoyed it very much so, and I thank you, Mo, for bringing on Cueball. We definitely learned a lot about him. I think I'm not sure who reached out to Ivan, but I thank you for reaching out to Ivan, whoever did. Tonight, I think, was a great show.
I learned a lot. There was a lot of information from Cueball, a lot of history from Ivan, and those are the things that when I feel walk away from a conversation with anybody and I feel educated, that is time well worth spent. I mean, it's phenomenal. It really is.
And before we close for tonight, I do plan on playing that second commercial to close out the show. Just letting you know, because I don't know if Mo got to listen to it last week or not. But if he didn't, you'll get to hear it again tonight.
All right. Well, you can sign off with it. I mean, we got 13 minutes. You can sign off with it with the last 2 minutes we got, and that'll be great.
Sounds good.
All right, so Mo, you got an appearance this weekend. You're going to be back down in Alabama where the fans can see you. Was it a packed house last time?
You know what? The crowd was up from the previous 2 years.
Okay.
We did a lot of, without the benefit of TV, all you have is social media.
Right.
And we did a lot of trash talking on social media.
Okay.
I mean, I went so far as I shot a video of me covered up in a sheet and a towel and pretended that I was a Klan and threatened to kill Sir Mo when he comes to Alabama. And then at the end of it, I took it off and I just laughed. I just cracked up laughing. And then I posted. I had Austin create this promo picture of me in front of a background with the rebel flag and a noose hanging from the top that says "String 'em up," and then I posted that. So I really got a bunch of a lot of negative racial connotations going. And it worked.
Okay.
And then I did a few things where I talked about Justin's wife and I did this one thing where when I got to town, I stepped into the shower, stuck my head out of the curtain, and took a picture of it and said, "Hey, I'm taking a shower, waiting for Justin's wife to get here to my hotel room." So we drummed up a lot of interest, and we had a lot of conversations going on Facebook. So and it worked. It drew. It drew more. The owners actually took money home. This was the first time they had taken money home in over 2 years.
Well, that's a good thing. That's fantastic. All right, for the next few minutes, Dreamy, give us a little WWE analysis. How was Monday Night Raw this week? Did they throw this one together, or what happened?
No, I don't think they threw this one together. This one was actually pretty planned out. I thought it was a good show. I enjoyed the match between the Usos and Eric Rowan and Luke Harper. I'm still at a loss with this whole Sandow thing. And then
let me cut you off, Dreamy. Let me cut you off, Dreamy. Let me cut you off. What would you want? What would you want to see with Damien Sandow? What would you want? What would you want to see happen?
Oh, I'm tired of him.
You're tired of him mistreating him, you mean?
Oh, you're ready to see him go?
Yes.
He should have been on the list of the people that got let go.
Exactly. He should have been on the list of people that got released.
Oh,
well, as long
okay.
as he's willing to play the clown and play the fool, they gotta play for him.
Okay.
I guess.
Well, obviously he's pissed somebody off, but he ain't pissed them off to the point of them firing him.
Getting fired. Right.
Yeah. He's still got somebody there that's still talking for him to keep him there.
Well, you know what? When you look at him, he's not a bad worker either.
Oh no, not at all. He's not at all. You don't go from he won Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't go from he was in the top spot. So, but something's happened where he pissed somebody off. You know what I mean? And there's a ton of changes going on right now. They already instituted a dress code, right?
Yeah, and then did you read where they cut the royalty money?
Right, and now they've instituted a late policy. If you're 1 minute late, you get fined.
Okay, well, they had a late policy. They had a late policy in the 90s.
But come on, man.
We were there.
Man, but people were still showing up 2 hours, 3 hours late. We're talking about 1 minute. We're talking 1 minute now, buddy.
Right, and they're gonna fine
you. Yeah, we're talking 1 minute right now. So, the company's in a little bit of financial distress, man.
Yeah,
they're giving 2 free weeks preview of the network. You don't have to have a credit card to get the preview.
Nope, you don't have a credit card. They're right now they're drawing. I think it was a good idea. I think that they should have just went on a VOD. Just started a VOD. Yeah, video on demand. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think they should have just did that with all the old videos and stuff instead of trying to create a network. I think they should have pulled all the videos off of YouTube because they have that working relationship with YouTube.
Right.
Have YouTube not to air any WWE, material at all. And then if you want to see some old Memphis stuff or if you want to see some old WWE stuff, you know what I mean? Instead of going with a whole network where they're giving every pay-per-view for free, for $9. Think about it. The same people that's paying that $9 a month would probably pay $9 a month just to view the videos without having to give away the pay-per-views.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Or at the very least, $1.99 or $2.99 or something per video. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that, man, I mean that network has cost them a ton of money. And then in that last stock meeting, they predicted they was thinking that they were going to get a contract, a new TV deal for over $400 million.
Right.
They were at $90 million. They were predicting that they were going to get a new TV deal at $400 million. The stock went from like $13 a share. It shot up to like $36, $37 a share. When the news came out, the TV deal went from $90 million to just $150 some odd million. The stock bottomed out. You know what I mean? I mean, it dropped. It was like down to almost $8 a share from $36 a share, man.
Right. All right.
Yeah.
So my last question. We got 2 minutes left. Dreamy, the Funkadactyl split. Where's it going?
Well, I mean, I already told you guys in my dream that there's gonna be a match between Cameron and Naomi in an upcoming pay-per-view. So.
Yeah, but okay, Dreamy, can Cameron, based on you already know what you think, can Cameron actually carry a match with Naomi? I mean, we talking. We
Cameron ain't carrying nothing. Cameron ain't carrying nothing. Naomi's carrying.
That's what I'm saying. Can she
Naomi's
hang?
carrying. Can she hang?
Basically, what you're saying is, with the match, what's going to happen between the two of them, as far as in a match between them.
Yeah.
Naomi's definitely going to come out on top.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hey guys, I do have a caller on the line. Do you guys want to take a quick call before we end the show tonight?
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, we got to be real quick. We got like 3 minutes left.
All right. Okay. Caller from area code 361, you're on the air with Sir Mo and Oscar have been on the mission.
How's it going, fellas? This is Anthony Stewart from Corpus Christi.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, just checking out the show, and God willing, hopefully I'll be up there for Bully Bash and Bully Mania.
Oh man, great! We love to have you.
Awesome. I'll have my referee shirt as well. But I just want to say one thing for everybody that's listening out there. If you haven't bought it, get with Sir Mo on The Real Deal. Beautiful DVD, great work, and I mean, it's if you want to know the true story of Men on a Mission when they were in WWF, buy that DVD right now.
Thanks for the plug, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Bring that referee shirt. We'll put you on.
Definitely, sir. Definitely.
I don't know how true the story is because that's all that's Sir Mo's opinions. I'm not on the DVD.
It's the truth. It's
all
the truth.
All right,
have
everybody.
A great night.
All right, everybody. Signing off. Felix wants to run this commercial one more time. Everybody say good night. Dreamy, any closing words?
Good night, everybody.
Sir Mo, closing words.
Love you, Dreamy.
Love you too, Mo.
Yeah, and from Oscar, everybody, the Hallmark cast. Yeah, love you too. Yeah, good night, John Boy.
Good night, guys.
Bye, Phil.
I woke up and I had crappy feet. Now I do have happy feet. I woke up, my gout had me yelling and screaming. Got on the phone and called Dr. Freeman. Called Dr. Freeman and I went there, straight to free men foot care. I got an exam, I got my meds, now I don't have to sleep standing on my head. I got my exam and they were enhanced, and now I can walk, run, and even dance. Got my care, cause I went there, my feet got fixed, the free men foot care.
Well, hey, men on the Are you ready?